year. Can't do any better than a year number one. Conference Coach of the Year, well deserved, as they won both the regular season and the tournament. We are underway with an ace from NC State's Naomi Cabello. But this Coastal Carolina program, look, all the success, they want to get back to the NCAA tournament. They have scheduled extremely tough, playing Power 4 after Power 4 opponent. So no stranger to facing a team from a major conference. But obviously that has come with taking some lumps at 3-7 so far. They're a lot more talented than their record right now would tell you.
I would certainly agree. And talking with Coach Loswick before the game, he talked about that reasoning behind that tough schedule is if they're going to compete come NCAA time, if they're to get a bid, they have to be.
That's the goal.
That's the grand objective, is to be prepared, having already seen the tough kind of competition that they will have dealt with in September.
Yeah, this has been a good open to this point. The three teams, Coastal Carolina, NC State, and VCU. The Rams going 1-1 for this weekend. Swept by NC State, but took a 4-setter yesterday over Coastal. And an early kill by Emily Fowler for the Chants. And that was the scene yesterday. Fowler led them with 9 kills in the 4-set loss. Also had a career-high 11 digs.
Wonderful tool off of the block of Amanda Rice. Amanda Rice way high up there, so Fowler goes off the elbow for the point.
Well, passing has been a struggle, even in the 3-set sweep. You have a sweep, you think, hey, you probably played well, and while NC State did play well, didn't play up to their standard, particularly in that aspect of the game. Didn't feel like they passed tremendously well, and Coastal takes an early 3-2 advantage. Delara Unal. And an easy dunk down by Fowler. She's listed at 6'3". That was, yeah, that is ruled NC State's point.
So interference was the call against Fowler, reaching over before Cabello could set the ball entirely not on the side of Coastal, entirely on the side of NC State.
Stout with a back set. And a good pickup there on Lezak's swing. Agata Lezak. Fowler's tip sniffed out by Cabello, the Wolfpack setter. Amanda Rice.
Beautiful look from Amanda Rice. She takes an approach into the angle, and at the very last second releases, closing her shoulders with that lefty swing, ripping down the line. Excellent work there to overwhelm Sydney Lewis, the libero for Coastal.
Rice with the 12 kills against VCU, but what was really most impressive, she hit nearly 400, and at times they did not have an answer for her when she was in the front row. This one headed towards Paul, and great effort by Lewis as she goes into the first row, couldn't come up with it.
Lewis was chasing, but had to dodge on her way into the stands, couldn't quite get to it. Good block by Ava Wallace, but not enough to stop the ball before going to the floor.
Lezak with the kill. Agata Lezak, the senior from Poland. She'll sub out. Chala Benji, second setter for the Chants, comes in. So here is where Stout is going to be in the front row. You got a back row setter in Benji checking in, and Stout has been their top attacker on the year. First time she's been in the front row. NC State went to the middles a lot to great success on Friday. Can't cap it off here on a swing by Sophie Groom.
Good choice by Groom to go on the angle to the left side, but she sails that one just out of bounds. You could see it hit on her heel, sailing out of bounds on that play.
Benji sets the middle. That's Valentina Varani.
And a much better execution on the Coastal side on that middle quick. They're getting the tool off of the block of Groom.
18th kill of the year for Varani, the redshirt junior. First swing from Stout, and she makes the most of it.
Good swing from Stout down the line. She didn't get all of it on that connection, but enough to find the corner. Good swing by her. Bit of a pause in the action as Bengi is just waiting to go ahead and get going, but a pause in the action to get the score table and the book right before her serve.
It is 7-5, Coastal with a 2-point advantage. Fowler uses the NC State block. And over Coastal Carolina looked dominant in the first set against VCU. It was from that point on that the Rams took over. NC State's passing not great early. They'll call timeout, and we will take it with them. 8-5, Coastal in front.
This is the ACC.
LeBay is an early timeout for NC State fifth-year head coach Lucas LeBay. His team on a 4-match winning streak, playing better and better, but again, looking to improve the passing. That hasn't been there in the first, 13 points of this match. So an early timeout to try to re-emphasize what has been the emphasis coming in.
It certainly has, and that has put a lot of the onus on Cabello, the setter, to try to chase down some balls and run the offense. But so far, the offense really not cooking for NC State, resulting in that timeout. Ball control much better on the Coastal side so far early on in this set.
Naomi Cabello, grad student, 5th year, said it really wasn't a tough decision to come back. Knew she wanted to utilize that final year and is having a great 5th year to this point, coming off a South Florida Invitational all-tourney team. She had 19 assists on Friday night as Stout picks up her 2nd kill.
Good
She
swing.
is so focused, Paul, so fiery, competitive, in a positive way.
She really is, and I like that she has that stone look. She's really all business, and that actually fits into the style of NC State. Coach Lucas LeBay, also an all business kind of person, so it's interesting to see both sides with that all business look to them.
Took a deflection off the stand. That'll be out and an NC State point. And that's one of the few times, Paul, we've seen Cabello able to set in front of the attack line today. Again, the passing has kind of been leading her back. NC State ready for Fowler on the right side.
Good stop.
Bryant.
Good stop by Courtney Bryant to drop that left hand down. Can't say enough about that block. If she doesn't seal that off as it ping pongs off of both arms, that ball's going out of bounds. Another point to Coastal. Instead, great technique from Bryant.
Tough angle for Bryant. She'll reload with a push and a diving stop by Sydney Lewis.
Every effort to be made by NC State to try to counter against the swings of Stout. Stout attacking on the left side in this rotation. So we get a look at the swing from Amanda Rice. So lefty versus lefty, lefty block versus lefty attack. Rice won over on that one.
Stokes smokes the serve. Been a top server for NC State this season and last year. She transferred in to the Wolfpack after 3 years at West Virginia. Fowler coming off a career match yesterday. See if she can continue that momentum. NC State in system there. They wanted a touch. They don't get it.
Trying for high hands was Rice, but no dice against the block of Malone. Malone was in position, but that ball sails just wide and high, way off of the hands. No touch. Give it to Coastal.
That's the NC State offense.
And in system, really forcing Coastal to cover all 30 feet on the block. They couldn't do it. That allows for the solo swing. No block to be had, no problem by Bryant.
Nice to have options for Cabello, right? Allen is jumping with Bryant, and it was number 12, Courtney Bryant, who got the ball. Bryant, who was MVP last weekend at South Florida Invitational.
Ian Bounds, but only after out. But of course, for NC State, they were thinking that they got the touch on that one, and in fact, they did.
And we showed you at the Open the Block Party 9 on Friday. That comes off the video board and straight back down on the NC State side. That's fine as long as it stays on your side and you have hits remaining. Coastal Carolina on the other side. Again, if Stout's in the front row, you got to find her.
Such an important scenario for NC State. You hit it right on the head. The middle block has to keep an eye on her. If they don't, and it's a late approach on the block, of course, there's Jada Allen late. That leaves the entire responsibility for Courtney Bryant. I like that matchup if Stout can continue to go one-on-one.
Stout, the Sun Belt Freshman of the Year last year in that record-setting freshman season. Tucked into the back line. Madison Williams, who is feeling more and more confident this season, healthy for the second year in a row. Sometimes the first year you come back, you are healthy, but you don't fully trust it. She said this year she's confident and just trust her body, trust her game.
And that play a moment ago really demonstrates that she had nice elevation, but then to trust on that rotation to get that ball into the deep corner, she swung at about 90%.
Lauren Malone went into the courtside seats and looks like she's all right. Hopefully the fan is as well, courtside.
Beautiful tip off speed. It off, so she tips where no one was at. Great play by her.
Lewis with a beautiful backspun dig. Peterson keeps it alive and Stokes knocks it over on 3. Unal in the middle. A dig from Stout. Peterson setting, Williams on the right side. Lewis comes up, sniffing out that tip. They'll go back row to Fowler. So you got 3 attacking options in the front with Stout setting in the back, and it's Fowler with the back row attack.
Love that look from Fowler. First time we've seen the back row attack from Coastal today. Absolutely the right choice on that set from Jalen Stout, now setting from the back row.
And you talk about the triple doubles, Paul. She's also been their top server, okay? She really can do it all, and she notches the ace, and Coastal the first to 15.
Good look on that serve, a running jump float. She's been nailing it mostly down the line, finding great success there, the ace.
Brizard, NC State needing a side out, and they get it.
Good decoy from Jada Allen to hold on to that block. When Brizard has open space, she can hit a heavy ball. She does a nice job with that.
Well, Brizard has been the star for the Wolfpack the last couple of years, and she is as intense as they come, but has fun, plays with passion.
Well, it's one of the reasons why she enjoys volleyball so much is the notion of coming and celebrating a point, many, many points to be celebrated in the huddle. It's very much a team sport. She really thrives in bringing that energy to the Wolfpack squad.
Allen will set the middle. Surely a touch, yes? And yes, there was. Just the trajectory of the ball was a little different. And it is another Brizard kill with an assist by Jada Allen.
And a little bit of a delay there on that call. That's what got Coach Slabé maybe a little testy and off of the bench on that one is, hey, I want to see that call so there's no hesitation from my team.
Free ball. NC State looking to draw level. Brizard changes her shot, and it is tied at 15.
Great adjustment by Brizard. That tip, instead of going up and over the line, she goes over the middle blocker. Malone was a little late to get in there and cover that ball shallow right over the shoulders of Unal for the tip and the point.
Allen has been serving well also. 3 aces on Friday, 3 against South Florida. As I was saying, serving well.
And that's so important. Coastal Carolina has been ahead in the balance of this ball game, but of course that's going to prompt the first timeout from Coastal. Coastal hanging on with a 1-point advantage. As we get a look at Coach Loswick, Coach Leswick is really working hard to give a different look to NC State. So far, the prep has been very good by them. Jalen Stout has shown, we've talked about her, but it's the block and the serve reception of Coastal has looked so much better here than it did in the final 3 sets of their match against VCU.
So a timeout for Coach Loswick. And a look at the timeline. So interim coach, not much more than a year ago, right? And into season, they win the regular season, the tournament, coach of the year. Yeah, let's take that interim tag off. Great experience for Coach Loswick, not just last year, rich background in beach volleyball as well.
Yep, most certainly. He took over for Coach Joseph Foreman, who left to return to Hungary to be with family. So Coach Loswick took over, plenty of experience, predominantly, most recently at North Florida as both the beach coach and the indoor coach. He came to Coastal and began as straight beach before moving indoor and eventually taking over in the head role for Coastal last year, as you see in that graphic back on September 11, just about a year ago.
Yeah, so really a dream season last year, looking to build upon that. Now, they did lose Sunbelt Player of the Year, Jasmine Reve. So that is, he brought her up to us saying, hey, look, we lost a lot of scoring in the front row, but they feel like with, again, partially the schedule and the talent that they bring back, got a chance to win the league again, get back in the NCAA tournament, and then be really well prepared if and when they get there.
Most certainly. But when you lose a player of the year in a type like Rive, one of the things they're also replacing, and Coach Loswick mentioned it, is sometimes it gets overlooked that backcourt success, not only serve reception, but also transition on the defensive side and the back row attack. That's really what they're looking to rebuild, is really the backcourt success for the Chanticleers this year.
Another free ball. Peterson will set the left side, and there's a big block waiting. Unal and Malone.
Coastal continuing to make some block switches. We've seen Jalen Stout on the left side. The left side attacker, Malone, there in that position, playing over on the right. Of course, that was in service reset, or in the last rotation on a serve receive, but she handled her business well on the right side.
Sophomore from Charleston, Anna Smith with an ace, and it's her first of the season. Well, the tip has worked. Stout has come up from that back row a couple of times, but Brizard just sees the court so well, and that will get Amanda Rice back into the front row, and it'll get Naomi Cabello back in as well.
Good effort by Kate Peterson to deliver a quality set a moment ago to allow for that tip, but of course now 3 great rotations with Amanda Rice in the front row on the attack.
Stout's back row, remember, so she couldn't attack that ball. Did great to somehow get it over the net from point-blank range when I'm sure she'd much rather take it over the height of the net. A good job there avoiding the back row attack.
Great reaction by her. The gut reaction is to get up and make a big play on the ball,
sure.
Particularly for her who plays front row, as you said, for 3 rotations. All she could do was knuckle it over to survive the rally.
That's a great set by Stout, giving Lezak an opportunity. Now in system. Fowler has it trickle back over. We'll try the other side. Rice back in the front row, and she'll finish off the rally.
Coastal doing some good things, but NC State, after being down for most of this match, are now starting to find their rhythm. Again, it's the ball control that allows for 3 attack options. Rice is going to do damage when she only goes against 1 block. NC State with a 3-point lead, their biggest of the match. Coastal has called timeout, trying to shore things up here late in the first set.
Ready?
The Wild Robot is 100% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
Ava Brizard now in her junior season, off to a nice start with NC State as they have come from behind and take a 3. Volleyball's an escape for her, and as much success as she had in her freshman and sophomore season, she said, no, it didn't come easy for me, although it looked it a lot of times on the court. But man, she loves playing this sport, and we saw the passion from her earlier. And this is, again, she's already had an illustrious career, but just the start, really, of her junior season, not even in the conference play, so a lot more to come.
It's hard to believe she's only now an underclassman. Excellent work by her. She doesn't see as much time in the back row as she did in her freshman and sophomore years, but she is capable in longer rallies and longer games to go to the back row and not only provide the defense, but also that back row attack. Very, very solid in the back row on the offensive side of the ball is Brizard.
Had a call change here. The line judge had a touch. It was originally signaled NC State point. The Coastal bench, they all were confident it was a touch as well, and the call was changed. Our R1 today is Rob Boggs, Chanel Davis, the R2. Speaking of Ava Brizard,
good shoot set to the outside. It's hard to attack a shoot and still turn line. If you are a righty over there on the left side, she's able to do so. As you see her remarking at what a good set she received, I would concur. Great set from Cabello.
Just out, and a good judgment by the back row of Coastal, Anna Smith and Sydney Lewis.
So now 3 rotations with Stout back in the front row, the lefty attacker. And that was a missed opportunity for Coastal. Good rotation for server for NC State, Sky Stokes on the line.
Off the block and out. And look, they're not the first team to do it, right? But NC State at least going to try to make Stout work here in reception.
Absolutely. One way to wear out a triple-double machine is to give them as many reps as possible. No need for reps there. How about the service ace from Sky Stokes trickling over the net for the point?
An ace leads to set point, and not a whole lot the shots can do about this defensively. Again, getting Stout involved. Smith will set her. Quick to the middle. Set one belongs to NC State, 25-19.
Great answers by surrendering that first set.
It'll be interesting to see the Chant's response as well as NC State goes back to what was working in the first. It's Aber Brazard again, but you know, yesterday against VCU, they came out strong, 25-13. I mean, they showed up. From that point, though, VCU made a change, and a lot of it was just in mentality. There was I'll put it like this, some spirited coaching going on from Coach Doyle and his team. In the third and fourth, they won it 13-14. So just not often that you see 13s and 14s in a set, especially going the other way, right? And so Coastal Carolina kind of lost their way. And Coach Loswick said, you know, their passing has been inconsistent at times this year, and that's kind of where it got away from them. So just something to keep an eye on as we move forward in this match.
Most certainly, and you got to give credit to Coach Doyle to pick the right moment to have a fiery speech. The team was actually off the court after that set one defeat. But I think when the team responds like that, they also know that they had another level in them.
Sure.
And sometimes it's just a wake-up call. As long as coach doesn't go fire and brimstone every single game, you know. And you want to talk about not fire and brimstone. Coach Loswick takes a calmer, cool approach in our meeting pregame. Very measured, very calm. That's his delivery that we've seen throughout this match as well.
No touch, and a point to the Shanta clears. You know, Coach LeBay, the way he approaches the game, very passionate, very intense, right? But he says, you know, I can't get upset during matches because at that point the work has already been done, right? Everything that we work towards during the week, that's when I can do, you know, my most of the coaching, right? And all of the adjustments. Not that they don't make adjustments in between sets, et cetera, or during timeouts, right? But that so much of the work is done. And Paul, you were a coach for a number of years. You got to speak to that and the build up to getting ready for a Friday and a Sunday.
Well, you said it right. The coaching work was done off the court or off of the game day time. Game day is absolutely all about the players. Practice is about the coaching staff and the players kind of getting in line, getting some quality training done. And yes, come game day, there's not a lot of adjustments that you can make on the spot that will really affect the game. You make a couple of subtle effects, but that's about it. But a big effect from Agata Lizak on the solo block there, affecting the game for the solo block there. But from a coaching standpoint, yes, once it's game day, it's the players and what you've taught and how they transition it to doing it with the jerseys on.
The hay is in the barn. Madison Williams picked out the right spot.
That's the second time she's found success on that swing. She had that early in the first set, elevates, takes a little off of it to make sure she pinpoints the location. This time getting the high angle on the power angle to go.
I saw Lewis maybe had a chance to play it, decided that's going to go out. It did not. It's tight to the net. Pretty good set by Benji. Go to the middle, and that's Varani.
Great save by Benji on the first ball. Eventually in system is Varani. I like going back to the middle there, the gap set. Varani was already pushed over to the left, so Varani still to make herself available and take the swing. Love that trust between she and Bengi.
Stokes comes out as Groom is back into the front row. And the first swing for Emma van Elslanda, who did not play in the first set. Thanks, NC State.
Yep, good swing by Elslanda, but this might prompt a challenge on whether or not there was a touch. So that's the question that the coaching staff is asking, is whether or not they did hear a touch. It appears as though they didn't. They're not going to challenge, so let's keep the point on the side of the Chanticleers.
The Coastal players seemed pretty confident that the point was theirs, and yeah, good communication. That's trusting your players, right? I looked for a second. I thought NC State might want to challenge, but I think the message they received from the players on the court was maybe not worth it.
Yep, and the eyes came right from the staff to the players, not to the officials, which I really like. You pointed out the perfect word is trust. The players said, yeah, no, coach, this one's not going to be in our favor. Let's just play on.
Cabello sets up Brizard, and the Chants able to defend. Trying to use the high hands and a misfire, tied at 6.
Brizard looking for a ball that had a little bit more tempo to it, but when it was high, she ended up underneath it. She does end up sailing it long. Let's get a good look at Unal. Excellent middle blocker. She's been in position most block closes throughout this ball game.
Another Brizard tip giving Coastal trouble. You see the idea from Rice, but just missed it.
You can see Rice chuckling. She knows she had the right shot and the right idea, but execution was so important on that one. She just misses.
Cabello goes into the table to save that one.
All of that starts with a great serve from Stout. Stout put pressure on the service reception of the Wolfpack. Throughout that rally, advantage was always on the Coastal side. When you can't side out or get good passes against Stout, good things are going to happen for Coastal.
Stout frustrated with herself, trying to shrug that off after serving into the net. Sydney Daniels replaces Ava Brizard. You know, came in Sun Belt Freshman of the Year, the triple-double record. I think what an incredible freshman season. Really shouldn't have come as a surprise. She was twice a state champ at Santa Fe High School. She was the Florida 4A Player of the Year. So she had a lot of success coming in, and there's usually a transition period. Didn't really seem to affect her. She was ready to go from the jump.
She really was, and part of what is a bit intangible is that competitive factor. She is fired up to try to be perfect on every single play. We saw in warm-ups about an hour and a half ago, she slapped her hands in dismay after one bad swing that went out. She expects her own personal best on every single touch.
Chants open up a 3-point lead. You know, I think it always helps, Paul, when you play at a high level, right? And 4A in the state of Florida, that Santa Fe team reached a ranking nationally as high as number 3 in the country. So you play at a high level. I think that transition to college is easier.
But
and she has made it look easy.
It certainly prepares you when you're playing against other top-notch teams and just continuing to win. If you're 3rd in the country, that means that you're just as good as the top Texas squads, the Louisville teams that always turn out fantastic work. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about California ball. So to be 3rd in the country, Stout absolutely shines.
Coach Slabay will call timeout as Coastal playing well. You wonder what the response would be. Positive thus far, up 4.
Do you need assistance?
The Wild Robot is the greatest.
Double record from a year ago is obviously she is a unique player, very talented, but not the first player in, NCAA Division I history to set in the back row and attack in the front row. What is it about her game or her skill set that allows Coach Loswick to say, hey, let's put you in this role and we'll win a lot of matches and have a lot of success with it?
I think a big part of it is that fiery nature that we talked about just before the break. When Coach Loswick knows that he has a competitor out on the floor for every touch and for every rotation, clearly it makes it hard to take her off of the floor, and she does everything so well. We talk a lot about the setting, we talk a lot about the attacks. Both of those get a lot of eyeballs, but it's the defense that really impresses me, is that when she takes a first ball, we've seen even so far today, those balls are playable for the outlet set as opposed to just being dug to survive a rally.
Martina Leoniak subs in and puts a pinpoint pass to the setter Cabello, and NC State tic-tac-toe to get the point in the side out. And she did not play on Friday, did not play the previous Friday, got in just briefly against USF. She's been dealing with an injury, and so we knew she would be available today, but they did not need her on Friday. Looking for a little juice and a little help in both serve reception and in attacking, and so Leoniak, who is a key player for them, is going to come in here.
And the biggest part for her is to step in and solidify that service reception. Down by 5, they will target her, will coastal until they prove that she can miss the pass. Sure enough, that angle, they were going after her, but unfortunately that ball sailed out of bounds, so Leoniak wasn't charged with putting a play on that one in that particular serve receive pattern.
Overpass, and there's Leoniak. Well, when you're looking to shake off a little rust, that's got to be a gift.
Leoniak is loving the gimme from the other side, handling an overpass, and of course that one right into her wheelhouse. She makes no mistake for the point.
She is physical at 6'4", but just a talented player that can play all the way around. Cabello and Allen with good net presence, and Leoniak seems to have given them a little spark that they were looking for.
She has, and the other change, switching from a 6'2", now in a 5'1", Cabello setting in the front row, so seeing potentially all 6 rotations, where in set number 1, Kate Peterson saw time in that 6'2" system.
Yeah, Coach Slabay saying that, his team will do both in practice. They don't want to be one-dimensional. I asked him about the setter situation as Stokes, with a good up. More on that after this point. Lizak puts it down. Agata Lizak, who, like Leoniak, is from Warsaw. They both play on the Polish U20 team. I'm sure they know each other very well. Man, that was Lizak swinging against Leoniak. Kind of a cool matchup in this one.
A little grudge match of sorts. I guess more of a pride match. You go back into the Polish gym together.
Rights. Yeah.
There's a little conversation that's had about who had the one up on the other. Leoniak, though, still stepping in as we get a setter switch again. Peterson back out on the floor for NC State.
Poor pass this time from Leoniak. Chance for the Shants, and they will convert off the left hand of Jalen Stout.
NC State still trying to find their rhythm, but this time against the grain. Great set to a ripped ball down the line, and not on her line was Sydney Daniels. If she was on her line, she might have been able to make that play.
Stokes, and that's twice in this set. NC State, again, the thought is there, but it's an unforced error. And being a little too aggressive on the push to the back line, and there will be another timeout.
Well, most certainly, that is, so twice in a row, the pushes, they pushed to the same corner, trying to find some success. Rice earlier on in this set, that time, no dice for NC State, and the unforced errors are beginning to pile up. Coastal, again, looking good midway through the set. We'll have to see if they can finish this one to even the match.
Final non-conference match of the year, final match of the Summit Hospitality Open. It started on Friday night. Good crowd on hand. NC State swept VCU and really closed it well, hitting over 300 the last couple of sets. Then yesterday, we talked about how kind of surprising of a match that was. Coastal Carolina dominant in the first. Past that point, it was all Rams. So, you use the transitive property. You say, well, if NC State had no trouble with VCU, should cruise here today against Coastal Carolina. That's not the way sports work. And this is certainly a Coastal Carolina team that, one, is talented, and two, is tested. They have played a number of Power 4 opponents. They have already played UCLA, Georgia Tech, Virginia. They have a win against Virginia. Played Tennessee twice, along with playing Virginia twice, and now playing NC State. So this is a team that has seen major conference talent and physicality, and if they play their game, and Coach Loswick telling us, hey, we are focused on our side of the net. This is about building confidence more than anything for when we get into conference action.
Well, and that's what it's all about for your pre-conference slate, especially when you have a seasoned team like Coastal does.
Allen puts it down.
Good answer out of the timeout to put pressure on. NC State still has some work to do, but they're handling the overpass. Really nothing Sydney Lewis could do. She was a sitting duck on that one. She put her hands up, tried to make a play, but give all the credit for the Jada Allen swing.
Again, this is about the juncture of really all 4 sets. There's an ace from Leoniak. Really the same timing, if you will, in the set where this is where they've stepped on the gas, where they have been able to raise their level. Now, you don't want to rely on that because you can't do it every time. We'll see if they can do it here in the second stanza.
Missed contact by Leoniak. You could even hear it from here at our broadcast table, that contact up on the fingers instead of on the heel. So she'll return in service reception. I do believe they will continue, will Emily Fowler, to target Leoniak in service reception.
And the thing is, she's a good passer, Paul. But when you haven't really played a whole lot, again, she's been practicing, but when you haven't played in competition, you got to test it if you're Coastal Carolina.
That's just the right word. You said it right on the spot. It's the test. But Leoniak has been up to the test, service reception on her touches so far here, entering in the second set.
Just her 5th appearance of the year for Leoniak. Nothing she could do to dig out that ball.
Stout with the big swing. She just continues to come, this time going on the angle. She had command over the line earlier on. This time she decides to rip into the seam, getting it out of the range of Sophie Groom.
Right through the hands of Leoniak, and maybe just a few signs of rust from her there. And it looks like Coach Slabay is going to go back to Courtney Bryant. So gave him a spark for a time. Good to get her at least a little bit of action, because again, ACC play is next time out, next Friday.
They're certainly going to need her come ACC play. Of course, seeing her for any action in the pre-conference is so important for the Wolfpack.
Good cover by Benji. NC State had to have a point there, and they get it.
Stout going back down the line. Good choice by her, but that's such a pinpoint swing. It's such a hard one to get. The ball sails just wide of the sideline.
How about the set from Benji?
Stout's timing was a little off, so she goes with the lefty push there, intentionally going off of the block of Brizard. Great choice by Stout.
Better volleyball here from the Chants in the second set. I thought Brizard was kind of painted into a corner there, but she made the most of it.
She did. She had to work against that block, and then as important, she falls away to try to not get touched. And sure enough, she does dive out of the way or fall out of the way in time to get that point.
It's Lezak. Stuffed. Rice and Groom ready and waiting.
Big celebration from Rice on that block. She knows what an important point that is. Coastal still with an advantage, trying to even this thing out. For Coastal, it's been offense aplenty. We'll see what they do out of this break.
Ready?
The Wild Robot is one.
We'll see him. That will have some company coming at the start of November, because NC State women's basketball going to the Final Four last year, as did the men's team making the Final Four. Out of the timeout, Coach Loswick calling that timeout, trying to stop the run. NC State trying to chip away. Again, needing to win these big points. They have reeled off now 3 in a row. That's what Coastal needed, and Lezak provides.
Outlet ball from Anna Smith, just a high one to allow Lezak to do her work. She goes high off the hands. She was looking to either reset the point. She was happy to get that tool for the point. She was really just trying to go into the hands of Grooms to reset and continue the rally.
This is Rice off the net a bit. Boy, Stout in perfect position there to either make the play or the right decision here, lay off.
Talked about getting on your line earlier. This time, Stout is perfectly on her line to ensure whether or not the ball is in or out. She gets a good look at that one. Give the point to the Chants.
And a good look from our crew also. Ball was down. It was touched as well. Either way, Coastal Carolina punching back after NC State had cut it to a couple.
So Von Elslanda back on the service line. Key serve here. Only 2 more points to even this match.
She has not served a lot this year. They'll take the point. Off the deflection to the back line and in. Unal at 6'4", the tallest member for the Chants. They earn set point. Great volleyball to close out the second set from Coastal Carolina. And the hands.
Certainly down the line, I do think it'll open up the door for more players to be tabbed as a setter. I think is kind of where we're headed with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, the hands are certainly there for number 7. And a good look here.
Cabello in good position, but a little bit too much heat from Elslanda for that first point of the third set.
Yeah, she came in the second set, and obviously Coastal able to take that set, and they keep it up here. Oh, that caught Cabello.
And we certainly see the game plan begin to come to fruition here. Attack Cabello on the defensive side of the ball. So far, she has not been able to make the dig on 2 attempts at her here in the 3rd set.
Von Elslanda continues to serve. Hasn't played since the 15th against Tennessee. That's too deep and no touch. And Coastal picking up right where they left off. 3-0. Elslanda, by the way, been a member of the senior national team for her home country, Luxembourg, since 2019.
Well, not the most populous state, but Elslanda certainly, or country, but Elslanda looks very, very good for her Coastal squad. Stepping in, as you pointed out, not seeing action in set 1, but now starting to shine in sets 2 and 3.
NC State first points of this 3rd set. Leaning on Brizard.
Just enough gap in that block. Brizard is going to take advantage. She scores. Excellent swing by her.
On 2, Fowler will go over.
Stout was up for the task on the dig, and that ball over to Fowler. NC State had not retreated back into a perfect defensive set. The result, open space for Fowler and the swing.
How do you get so many triple doubles? You get a dig and an assist on the same action. You can hear Coach Slabay encouraging his team. That shot angles out. Leoniak seeing more action.
Leoniak getting the start here in this set. Good swing over to the left side, trying to split the left front and left back. It just sailed long.
Again, it was pretty quickly in and out last time that we had seen her at South Florida. So good to see her getting, multiple sets worth of play. This is why NC State scheduled Coastal Carolina, right? They feel like they're going to be a good team at the end of the year. Feel like they would be a challenge. They have certainly been that here in the last set plus.
Cabello, great work getting that ball back to Rice for the Rice tool and point.
Paul, feels like we're starting to see a lot more confidence on the side of the teal and white.
When you get a set the way they did it not by a fluky manner, but by taking quality swings as they did in the 2nd set. Sometimes as a coaching staff and as a team, you could say you believe, but once you start to see it on the floor, it really begins to show. Clearly, Coastal playing at a high level now, the best they've played all day. By Fowler, I like her work over there, blocking on the left side.
Lewis fired up. Yes, that was the correct decision.
Well, occasionally you see the matrix replayed on the volleyball court. That was Lewis absolutely working to get out of the way of that serve. Good no touch by Lewis. Coastal, you pointed it out. They look just as strong as they did late in set 2. Now looking good in set 3.
That took a touch, did it not?
And from our vantage point.
It's hard to see. I thought I heard it.
Yep, I thought I saw a possible touch by the libero in that of Sydney Lewis. We'll have to see if there is a challenge. Sure enough, there is a conversation. We will get a challenge from Coach Slabay. The challenge is whether or not there was a touch by Sydney Lewis. Of course, if the play stands, give the point to Coastal. So the review will be whether there's confirmation of that touch on the defensive side of Lewis.
Yeah, from that one angle that we just saw, I think that was inconclusive. Maybe we can slow it down, but Yeah, I was pretty sure. And from our angle on the table on that short side, it's tough to see it, but just from the sound, I thought there was a touch. Okay, obviously, NC State did as well.
And of course, the challenge is whether or not there will be conclusive evidence to overturn. It's not a question of whether or not someone thinks it is, but of course, if the call on the floor is what it is.
Thing yet, they would say definitive. Now this might be. If you're going to see it, nope.
Also a great look to see if it is conclusive on the block of Veroni.
Yeah, you can see the reaction of Allen. And there's just nothing conclusive. So this call is going to stand.
So the old coach's adage will be, did the ball lie? We will find out on the exact following point. Yes, shock from Jada Allen that the call on the block wasn't called either. So they'll have to answer on service reception down by 5.
Lewis again, beautifully done. Back row, Fowler. No touch.
Veroni was asking for the touch, but she's not going to get it. I think that's a common reflex from middles, is they will often ask for the touch. And, you know, hey, sometimes a little bit of convincing work could coerce that call. Occasionally it does happen.
It's Stout. And Leoniak misses out of the back.
That cut shot from Aslanda to continue that rally really caught the Wolfpack off guard. They were expecting an easier ball just to make a save, but instead opening up.
There is Von Aslanda with the pickup. And in the net was Jada Allen.
NC State cannot seem to find rhythm. It's been unforced errors, and more importantly, Coastal really being in system much more than meets the eye. Good save. Media timeout, and actually a timeout by NC State. They find themselves down by 6. We'll take a break.
Next Thursday, our ACC women's soccer match features number 3 Florida State, defending national champions, as they meet Clemson at the Seminole Soccer Complex in Tallahassee. The Noles have won the last 8 against the Tigers. The app out of the timeout, NC State scores. Lewis frustrated, talking about her platform to herself. Madison Williams with the attack. Stout terminates.
She just continues to vary her swing. She's gone for the point.
NC State hasn't had too many answers for her when she's been in the front row. Not an answer for that low missile. The margin of error is not large on this serve, right? But she is just skimming it over the net perfectly.
So she goes from a kill, then rotates to the back row and nails an ace. Excellent rotation and a point by the Stout.
I mean, this is basically like a back row attack for her, right?
Most certainly.
Nice dig. Von Elslanda able to find that one. Just give your team a chance. She does, but a touch will give NC State the point.
Brizard pumped up, trying to prompt her squad to get a little bit of energy. And that ball sailing off of the fingertips of the middle block.
Yeah, Unal, you can see right there with the deflection. Cabello serving for NC State. Big day for the Cabello family. Her sister, Naelise, is playing on ABC right now. Louisville and Nebraska. Big match.
Monster closed block by Groom, closing up to Brizard, absolutely stuffing Elslanda over on the right side attack. Elslanda trying to find the gap, but Groom closed and sealed it off to prevent the big swing.
Von Elslanda again. Try the other side. Lefties going back and forth. Lezak, you bet.
Lezak opened up and found some open space. It wasn't the most comfortable swing by her. She wasn't able to rotate her shoulders or put much on it, but there was so much room back there. The off speed works in the deep right back corner.
Nice job by Leoniak. Oh, it stays up thanks to Lewis. Off the video board. Stayed on the coastal side, and Lewis, that's the toughest read you can get, right? That's so random how that's going to come off the video board, and she made a play, an unorthodox dig.
And she stayed in the play, so when that goes up, all bets are off. Very, very balanced was she just to try to get hands on it. And she makes it playable as well, not just up enough for the swing of Elslanda out of the back row and the point. The ball sails out of bounds. Good swing on the coastal side, putting pressure on the coastal side. And big momentum on the coastal side. So we get the timeout by NC State.
Well, we told you it's a big day for the Cabello family, right? Naelise and Louisville playing in a giant match. The first ever regular season college volleyball match on ABC. Nebraska and Louisville. I'm told that match has gone final already. It did start at 12:30. Impressive from the Huskers.
Nebraska is fantastic. So too is Louisville. What a matchup that is, and that could be very well a preview of a matchup we could see in the grade 8 or even the Final Four.
Oh, certainly.
Both squads with all of the pieces necessary, including the coaching staffs, to find their way to the Final Four in December.
Well, Louisville taking a loss today, but the ACC stronger than it's ever. But not just as strong, but stronger this year than it's ever been. This is the preseason coaches poll. And yeah, Pitt, the favorites, and they've been the top team in the land. But you add Stanford, of course, Louisville. And so that trio at the top, as good as it gets, Paul. And then you're looking at some really solid programs. Georgia Tech has been top 25 for years. Florida State, Miami, also the addition of SMU and NC State. Again, a tournament caliber team a year ago. They bring back almost everybody.
They certainly do. And you hit on SMU. SMU tabbed 6th. They knocked off Nebraska in a home match earlier.
They're not just one, right? Not just a Louisville and then Pitt joining the party. Now here comes Stanford, etc. That's going to help your RPI numbers a lot. You know, last year NC State was 5th in the ACC and did not get in. I think it's a safe bet to say the ACC should get 5 or more teams this year.
They're certainly positioning themselves to get 5 or even 6 for certain. And yes, NC State was on the outside looking in. They finished, the resultant RPI was a 43 going into the tournament selection. They were 44. They were the bubble team. They were the last team out this last season.
Coastal has been so much better here in, I say, the last, obviously set plus, right? But really at this point, maybe the last 45 minutes, an hour.
They've truly carried the play. Their service reception has improved. Their floor defense has. You get a competitive Jalen Stout. Talk about competitiveness. She absolutely believes that that one could have been up. Therefore, she's very tough on herself and those expectations. But you're right, Coastal has been carrying the level of play almost all of the second set, and now midway pushing into late here in the third.
NC State didn't really feel like they played at their best. And while they turned it on to the end of set 1, they have clearly not been at their usual level the rest of the way. Stout had it rejected this time on a scramble. It's Fowler. Good transition.
Great work on the side of Coastal to get the coverage for Stout. Stout gets blocked, but a scrambling Coastal, it allows to get the ball to Fowler. Fowler doesn't swing big. She goes roll shot off speed, catching the NC State team on their heels.
Oh, it's tight, and it doesn't matter. Fowler using her size and athleticism at 6'3".
She reaches out to get the tool. Good grief. What a tough spot for NC State. NC State thought they had the advantage, but just getting a little bit of tool on the tight ball off of Rice.
This is kind of how Coastal came out in set 1 against VCU.
Verani with a big block. Everything going Coastal's way. Leoniak wasn't really looking around the block. Instead, she was looking to swing big, but Veroni had that block closed.
He said, what, maybe 10, 15 points. They're clearly having fun, and a lot of fun.
And it's fun to play volleyball, but anybody will tell you it's a lot more fun to win. You're a big tennis player, Andrew, and hey, it's fun to play, but it's a lot more fun when your serve is going in on the first serve, and you've got a good backhand swing that's going. Absolutely having fun is Coastal, and they are loving it, doubling up NC State here late in the third.
Paul, I may be big and I may be a recreational tennis player, but I don't know if anybody's ever referred to me as a big tennis player. But yes, I appreciate it. You have fun.
Let's give credit where credit is due, Andrew, but regardless of your great humility as a tennis player, it's a lot more fun to win without a doubt. And Coastal is absolutely showing that. Now, you won't see that on the all business face of stout there, but in between points, she has been having fun and enjoying those huddles.
No matter what your level in whatever sport you choose, when you're playing at your top level, right? It's fun.
Absolutely.
It's fun. You say, wow, if I could do this all the time, I'd have even more fun.
Absolutely.
And so that's the key for Coastal, right, is they know that their top level is really, really good. Can they play it more often?
Well, and that's just what Coach Loswick was hoping for from this match, was to take some positives and even possibly a victory into Sun Belt play. Well, she's certainly taking some positives from set 2 and set 3. Even that point there, high hands from Vana Slanda to get the point, and Coastal only 3 points away. They're looking like the dominant team over the host Wolfpack so far.
Crucial. And Coastal has saved their best for this stretch. Now, talk about this a lot when the scoreline of the gap is big, right? It's still a 10-point lead. Chances NC State comes back in a set very, very low. But as a coach, you're always focusing on, can we at least get some momentum and start to play a little better? You want to start the turnaround now, not when the fourth set begins.
Most certainly, momentum is so key here. And for NC State, they simply have to be better point for point and not worry too much about the big picture. There's a lot of volleyball yet left to be played here in this match.
Lily Cropper has subbed into the front row, middle blocker. Again, NC State's block was big on Friday night. It has not really phased Coastal that much here today. That might be an encouraging sign with Cropper in the middle.
Properly closed was Cropper. Now that first stop was absolutely on the Madison Williams side, but there Cropper sealing with that left hand to ensure that the block goes into the court of play.
Can't have a tip any better than that.
Delara Unal had to take a lower gap set. About all she could do was tip, so she smartly plays that ball exceptionally shallow for the point. And again, as you pointed out, any sort of effort
Rice a second time, that'll work.
advantage on the rally was always on the side of NC State on that one. Good choice by Rice to go into the deep court for that one.
Lezak's had a big match, but again, increasing the net presence from NC State. We talk about the momentum, and yet still a big lead. But Coach Loswick taking a timeout to talk things over. We'll be back in 60 seconds on the ACC Network Extra.
Ready?
The Wild Robot.
Late timeouts, a peek into both huddles. Coach Slabay on the right, Coach Loswick on the left. And even though this set doesn't have much more in it, we don't think, or you wouldn't expect, still a lot of volleyball left and a lot of coaching still to be done here.
There certainly is. For Coastal, they really opened momentum in the first set, but NC State had the answer to push through for that first set. Sets 2 and 3, Coastal has really turned it on. Their ball control at the 4.
Out of the timeout, another block. And that has gotten this NC State team energized here.
You mentioned momentum as such an important part late in this set. If NC State is to look better in the 4th or even close this gap here in the 3rd. Great block by Rice to seal things off. 2 blocks in a row for the Wolfpack.
It's Rice feeling it. This is what Coastal did not want. And NC State team maybe awoken here. 5-0. 5 straight set points fought off. Still a long climb. It is Lezak. That hit the floor, and now it is whistled.
Well below their season average after a good finish in set 1 for NC State.
Now it should be noted that Coastal was hitting up above 300 in set 3 before a couple of blocks came in from NC State. They looked re-energized. Now they fought off 5 set points. It would have been asking a bit too much, I think, to fight off, what, 11, 12? But they certainly showed a little something different late. Will it translate to the 4th set, or will Coastal's offense continue to click? That might be an early answer.
It's the block. So the block for NC State picks up where it left off. Brizard and Jada Allen perfectly positioned. Good set by Jalen Stout, but a better block on the NC State side.
So much of blocking is, what, just being in the right spot, the anticipation, the hand placement. What is it? Because this is an NC State team that plays hard. I know it's not just an effort thing, right?
Well, it's really about the read of the setter. So trying to get a figure on where the delivery of the setter is going. And when you've got a 2-setter system for Coastal, that means you got to figure out 2 setters, whether it's Bengi or Stout for 3 rotations.
That ball was hit so high up, it almost went over the video board. I thought it might get stuck in the catwalk up there. That's one of the highest hit balls I've ever seen from Leoniak, trying to give her teammate a chance to run under it, and she actually somehow from that positioning. I think when you're checking back like that, you're probably thinking in your mind, I can't hit this hard enough. Right? I can't overhit this. She actually did. Can't really blame her. It's a tough play.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, actually overhit it a bit. Oh, Madison Williams will finish that off.
Good answer from Williams over on the right side. Williams can play both left and right here. She takes a big swing into the gap. Again, the middle block holding just a fraction. Had to wait before closing, creating just enough room for the Williams kill.
Madison Williams from Grand Prairie, Texas.
Lezak, no problem over on the right side. Again, she is getting back into action, and it's the continuous quality location on the set of Jalen Stout. I was most curious about the setting of Stout. No doubt she could kill the ball, but she's locating nicely, spreading the block of NC State.
They will go back to Williams, you bet. Madison Williams said, you know, in another life, I would want to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. They play in a couple of hours, but a big Dallas Cowboys fan. And her teammates are her biggest cheerleaders right now. Love to see what she's brought into this season. 2
quick kills of the 4 points for NC State to start this 4th set. Just what they need if they want to get the 4th to get on to a 5th set.
Cabello's ace makes it 5-3 NC State.
Cabello for 3 rotations with Amanda Rice in the front row. Lily Cropper getting the start here in the 4th set as well. Cropper tried to make that save. It might have gone down in the book as a carry, but instead the officials let that play go. Eventually the ball still down to the floor for another point for Coastal.
Amanda Rice makes it look easy.
Such a difficult swing by Rice. She goes with a little bit of tempo on this set. She had to open up her body and still able to go down the line. She caught Lewis off guard. I think Lewis thought that ball was going angle. Great choice by Rice.
Short serve. And that tip attempt blocked by Fowler.
Leoniak was not put in a very good position there. She was really left with only one option on that low set. That was to go ahead and push. Emily Fowler, perfect position to stop the tip.
Stout got her hand on it. Boy, you gotta love to see it. I mean, she thinks, and usually she's right, she thinks she can make every play.
Anything she touches, she expects to be up. You see that frustration. I love that desire for perfection. And she's been excellent throughout this match, but as we get a good look at that reaction, she knows that she wants to have that up.
I mean, that would have been, you know, just a remarkable play. She's thinking, I can make that play. And you know what? A lot of times she can't.
Well,
she can't.
But I love that fire. That's part of why she and Coastal are looking at the possibility of a 4-set victory here. Trying to get momentum back, though, after a good start in set 4 from NC State.
You know, Stout was the preseason offensive player of the year in the Sun Belt this year. I've been really impressed with her defense, though, as well. And that's why she's able to play all the way around. You have to be able to defend and pass. Lewis had trouble with it. Stout will at least give it a swing behind the attack line. Good up by Rice. And that is going to be called a double. Now, we said there's no more double. That is glossing over the other part of that rule, which is as long as it's on your side of the net. Not a ball handling error, because you don't gain an advantage when it's on your own side of the net. You can gain an advantage there when you are sending it over.
Certainly. So that third touch absolutely is a double. And that was the right call. Leoniak with 2 touches on the third contact.
But in past years, if that had been second contact and she passes that to a teammate, that's a double. It was a double contact. It was clear. Now it's only if you send it over the net. She was in a tough space, didn't really have much opportunity, and she's kind of fading to her left, momentum taking away, and that's what leads to the double.
Good answer again from Coastal on the attack and the kill, as we get another look at, of course, Jalen Stout, who has hammered down her triple-double for this ball game.
5th triple-double of the season and counting. And an ace. The assists are going to be an every match thing, and honestly, the digs are almost an every match thing as well. She's pretty much a double-double machine. And she's going to get at least 6 kills at every match so far this season she has. So she's always going to be around the triple-double. The question is just how effective can she be attacking? And there's times where she's going, into the upper teens or up to, low 20s in terms of kills. And she has gotten her 10 today. There's the NC State block again, trying to start the fire.
The block was what aided the effort at the comeback to no avail, though, in set 3. But the block generated several points. That's where NC State's energy needs to come from until they find a way to score on the offensive side of the ball.
Peterson calls for it. A bump set to Brizard. Well done. Von Oslanda keeps it alive. Cropper maybe got away with a little bit of a throw there. Stout contorting her body, stayed out of the net. NC State kept it up. It's off Allen and Leoniak before helped over. What a rally this has been, Paul.
And after that long rally, a contentious end, looking for the touch on the tool from Brizard as we get a replay of that. NC State believes that it is a touch. It was called.
NC State is challenging the no touch call.
Challenge.
That's exactly what Brizard was trying to do with that, right? And it looked like, and we'll have a slow-mo look of that. It looked like that first time we watched it, I thought we saw maybe the ring and pinky finger bend back. You are seeing what the officials are seeing. Yeah, that's a touch on Lezak, number 2 in white.
And Lezak turns around and tries to say no touch to try to win that over. And of course, the challenge is immediately awarded with the point flipping to NC State.
Now, it's a little anticlimactic when you have to challenge for it, but those are momentum points when you can win a long rally. That's easily the longest rally we've had this afternoon.
Most certainly, and you credit both squads on the defensive side of the ball. Those were not weak swings being dug or offhand tips that were just being popped up Free Ball City. Those were really hard plays with quality touch blocks for, yes, as you pointed out, the longest and probably the most well-contested rally of the afternoon. So now it'll be a challenge on the Coastal side as to whether
Coastal
or not the
is
ball,
challenging that the ball was down during the rally.
whether or not the ball was down during the rally.
How about this? Well, you know what? This is a great excuse for us to rewatch the entire rally, Paul.
That's right. Well, in a great rally it was.
It's going to be, and by the way, sorry to cut you off, Paul. This is for Chanel Davis, the R2. This is going to be in such a long rally, right? You have to be very specific. All right, where in the rally? Because it went over and back a lot. Remember, this was the miraculous part, and this is what they're going to look at. They say, hey, it was down anyways.
So it's the pancake in question from Kate Peterson as to whether or not that ball was up on that one.
And the call is confirmed. NC State did indeed keep it up. All right, so both teams challenging. That's how long the rally was, right? There are multiple challenge points. And instead of 10-all, as it was originally called, it is 11-9 now.
And Coastal had kept an eye on that one. Had they won the rally, they would never even discussed the possibility of a challenge.
Right. Yeah, you always hope you win the rally. Anyways, right, but especially that way you don't have to risk a challenge.
That's right. They most certainly, though, marked that part of the rally. So as you said, how do you find the part that is to be challenged? You have to identify, well, hey, it was on the pancake, hey, it was on the triple block, as happened in a VCU match earlier this weekend or something like that.
Yeah, great communication there the officials, coaching staff, and in our replay room.
Excellent work by the
production team. Be able to get them to
team.
look. Oh, it goes back over. Cropper doing a nice job defending against that. Brizard is set. How did she get back up? She had taken a tumble. And of course, the setter Peterson didn't know that. Now she'll go to her. She sets her feet and puts it down.
Brizard was set that first time. She had to go with the rollie just to survive. Of course, that's a big mistake by Kate Peterson to go to the least available attacker, but Brizard comes into the play, and later on, Brizard with the peace of mind to get set again. This time bombs away. She takes a full approach, gets the kill.
You know, outsides always want to be set. That might be the one time where you're like, oh, not this time. But Brizard adjusted to it, made it work, and then a little more textbook. The next opportunity. Shoots it across, and it's tipped down.
And that block continues to charge up the NC State Wolfpack squad. Lily Cropper and Madison Williams getting together. That will prompt the media time out on the floor after a fantastic block for NC State. We'll take a break. When we come back, NC State still needs this one to extend to a fifth.
Hello. Here's a
The crowd on hand today in Raleigh to take on what has been a very exciting volleyball match, just as we expected. Paul McDonald, I'm Andrew Sanders. The first set was NC State's. The second, Coastal Carolina stepped it up and then played even better in the third. And NC State saying, hey, we're not done with this match yet. I think this has been their best volleyball. Really the last 5-6 points of set three and then ongoing here. Brizard across the court and in.
Good play out of the timeout. Brizard very smartly sends that ball into the deep court. Tackleable ball from Kate Peterson. And of course, they're into the deep court for the point. Coastal wishing it to be out, but instead give it to the Wolfpack. Misserve kind of harms the momentum of NC State. Jada Allen trying to go aggressive there to put pressure on the serve receive of the Chants, but to no avail. The Chants starting to get a little bit of momentum back, trying to get back to where they were midway in the third set when they were really carrying the momentum of this game.
Peterson did everything she could. Now, that was called a back row attack, Paul, but nobody was there for Coastal, so she's not attacking and she's not blocking. Is that ball still in the plane of the net? She should still be allowed, right? I mean, Coastal has to make that a play by having someone jump, which they did not. Now, I could have seen maybe a lift here, but she stayed out of the net. There's not a net, and they didn't call a lift.
Yeah, I really expected that call to be a lift. So when the whistle blew, truly that was it. But what they're saying is that the ball did make it to the plane, and once it does make it to the plane, it's interference regardless of if a player is in the area to make a play because she is in the back row for that particular rotation.
You could see the NC State coaching staff wanting an explanation. I think that was their call as Cropper terminates. I think they were saying, well, there was nobody there, so why can't she make that play?
Right, and it is not challengeable whether a ball is on the plane or not. I think they could make the case that it hadn't even gotten there yet. Regardless, good answer out of that break in the transition swing from Lily Cropper.
NC State was in the net. That was Amanda Rice. You know, Lauren Malone with that swing. She played early. It's been a lot more of Emma Von Elslande in the last couple of sets. So Coach Loswick going back to his redshirt junior outside.
And she certainly provides a spark. A very energized player out on the floor is Malone.
Yeah, they're both out there right now. But that was clever by Cabello, wasn't it? Over on two, and again, she is back row, but she's below the height of the net, so she can do it. And it's not officially an attack, but it certainly caused some issues. It took me by surprise.
Well, and her length allows for her to have a bit of that reach, that ball not yet entirely above the plane. She's allowed to do it. Absolutely a crafty play by Cabello.
There's Malone with the finish.
Malone in the service reception pattern had to hit on the right, so she makes her entry as a left side attacker, but there in the rotation over on the right getting the kill. Good answer and kind of an insertion of energy. Getting that kill to get the side out was Malone.
Smith with a service error to give it right back to NC State.
Now a key rotation. Sky Stokes on the service line for NC State. Very much an aggressive server with that low running float.
Trying to be aggressive with it, trying to paint it on the line. Couldn't do so this time.
Coastal hanging in there on a couple of missed serves. Jada Allen earlier when momentum was starting to go their way. Missed serve by her. Now Sky Stokes with the miss. Good opportunity for Sydney Lewis on the service line.
Smith ready and waiting. It's Stouts. She has been so efficient.
And we haven't heard her name called in a while on the attack side of the ball, but Bengi locates her perfectly. Stout going down the line, already piling on to her triple-double numbers.
So Coastal cuts it to 2. This will give us time. The NC State timeout. We'll look at the ACC standings entering today. And Syracuse is a great story after having their struggles, particularly last season. To be off, again, not in the conference play yet, but to be 11-0, can't start any better than that through your first 11. Of course, Pitt has been the class, not just of the league, but of the country.
Absolutely, they are the class of the country, and for Syracuse, those wins are no fluke. They took out Iowa State in 5 earlier this weekend. That was really the most shocking, and that was the biggest notice to the ACC, is that Syracuse is back with that 11-0. Now, I don't think that Syracuse is going to continue to remain on the top of the standings of the ACC, as you highlighted earlier, Andrew, between Pittsburgh, Stanford, Georgia Tech, always a top squad in the ACC. But to see a team like Syracuse surface at 11-0, Virginia, who was really at the bottom of the standings last year, only has 1 loss going in.
And that 1 loss is to Coastal Carolina. All right, an opening weekend preview. Here's what Friday, it's Stanford and Notre Dame, and a ranked matchup of SMU and Georgia Tech. And then right here, Paul and I we'll be right here in Raleigh, Virginia Tech and NC State, 7 o'clock right here on the ACC Network Extra. And then you got the old Florida rivalry on Saturday. I've got my eye on Sunday, though. Massive matchups on Sunday.
That entire opening weekend, it looks like some fantastic volleyball in ACC play. That's must-watch volleyball.
And NC State on Sunday will have Virginia, who, as we showed, is 10-1.
Amanda Rice will serve out of the timeout. That means Cabello will set from the front row, so only 2 attackers in Leoniak and Williams, or Leoniak and Allen.
Well, NC State's out of rotation.
they left too soon, did Leoniak, to head over to the left side. She needed to pause and wait for that ball to be served. So that goes in the book as an easy point for Coastal.
Yeah, there she goes. Yep. Again, she's one of the top players for NC State, and getting her back fully healthy is huge for them. But understandably, just showing a few signs of rust here, making just her 5th appearance, and has played sparingly in several of those appearances. Yeah, came into today with just 15 kills, and for her, that could be an afternoon when she's playing the way that she can play at 100%.
Coastal closing the gap now on the Jalen Stout serve.
Williams stepped into it, but the ball was in the air for a long time, and the Coastal block was on top of it. Tied at 18.
Great block there by Unal in perfect position, and the coaching staff of NC State kind of in a bit of shock there, seeing the block of Coastal really step up here late in this set.
Service error from Coastal's top server. Stokes. Great effort, couldn't get there.
Good set by Stout. Out to Lezak. Lezak gets the swing over on the left side. The lefty with the left-handed swing. It does make for a different look when placing the block. Just enough room there for Lezak to get it through for the point.
The voice of Coach Slabay bellowing through Reynolds Coliseum, letting his team know that ball was out, and he was right.
Oh, and his one-word shout was no. Do not touch that. He was correct. It did sail out of bounds. So now the serve of Jada Allen.
Point NC State. Allen sets up Brizard.
That set from Allen just a little bit tight. She had her back turned to the location, but Brizard then takes the swing, gets the tool.
You know, Coach Slabay, one of the first things that he did when he got here to NC State is trying to get all of his players playing his style, his system. And part of that is I want you to be a complete volleyball player. Yes, we have different positions, but just because you play middle, for instance, in the case of Jada Allen, doesn't mean that I don't want you to be able to serve at a high level, which she does. You know, you block, you hit. You don't really think of middle setting a whole lot, right? But when you're out of system, she's done that a couple of times today, Paul, and she's set the ball well.
She has, and the expectations really are that if you're on the floor and it's your time to make a play that you're not used to making or not expected to make, you're expected to make it out there. One of the things, shocked if a middle blocker made a dig. If they're in the back court, their expectation is to make a dig. Now, are they trained defensive specialists? Not necessarily, but they've got to cover their side of the court. Yeah. And in the case of Jada Allen, she was called upon to set that second ball. She did locate it with enough height to allow for the swing from Brizard, and while I am critical of that ball being a little bit tight, it was hittable and in a position where Brizard could do something with it. Got to give a ton of credit to Allen to have gotten into the Slabay mindset of a balanced player that can do more than just, in the case of a middle block and hit.
Jada Allen, who was one of 4 student athletes to sing the national anthem at the men's basketball Final Four, a representative from each school. Got a chance for that incredible opportunity. And now we're on the ACC Network Extra singing her praises.
Her song, her singing voice may be a little bit better than mine, actually a lot better than mine. And there's a lot to praise on that block as well, Brizard, with Lily Cropper getting in on it off the serve of Jada Allen.
You know, she said too, and she's known as a great singer, she said, you know, when she was approached because they wanted a student athlete from all of the 4 schools of the Final Four, they said, you know, you're a great singer, you'd be great at it. She said at first she didn't really want to, but obviously they talked her into it, and she got the trip out to Arizona and said it was a great experience. Back row, not going to work this time.
Good idea on that back row attack. The ball sails just long. Ronald Slanda would like to have that one back. We haven't seen a ton of back row attacks from Coastal. That one sails wide.
Allen overcooks it.
Good service run though by Allen, putting NC State ahead now by 3. So get a look at the service errors. It's always risk reward for NC State wanting to serve aggressively enough to keep Coastal on their heels. They can't worry about a couple of misses here or there.
Bonnell Slanda out of the back. Leoniak tracks back, and they do get it over. Point continues. Malone buries it.
High hands from Malone. She was a little bit outmatched on the block, so instead of trying to jam through the block on a risky play, she goes high hands off of Cropper and eventually gets the point.
Timeouts. NC State has now exhausted its timeouts, as has Coastal. Trying to force a 5th and decisive set.
Coastal trying to stay on track. They know that they have to block both pins, both Lily Cropper, Jada Allen, and previously Sophie Groom. Not seeing a ton of balls in the middle. It's been mostly pin play for NC State. So for Coastal, trying to continue to align their block pin to pin to slow down NC State's offense.
NC State has not played in a 5-set match yet this season. Coastal, we told you earlier, already has an ACC win. Now, they played Georgia Tech, got swept. They played Virginia twice. They did play a 5-setter against the Hoos and lost that 5-setter, but won in 3 the night before. So that is, of course, if we reach a 5th set. Territory NC State hasn't been in yet, but this is an experienced club. Coastal 0-1 in 5-setters.
Key serve here by Delara Unal. Middle blocker on serve, trying to put pressure on NC State and try to come back and finish things off in 4.
Yeah, crucial point. It was a deep serve handled by Leoniak, and Williams gives NC State set point.
Good choice to go backside to Madison Williams to get that swing and kill. But it all starts with a perfect pass. Leoniak was able to enable the offense to run off of the set.
Good to have options, and that NC State bench fired up for Williams. Lezak keeps the shots alive off of a really tough serve.
For Coastal to come back, then it's going to be Malone along with Verani and also Stout in the front row. Good offensive set here for Coastal if they wish to get 2 points to ward off the set point from NC State.
Service error sends us to a fifth.
Of the season this 2024 year.
They saw a service error last time Stout served. And NC State will take the first point. As a coach, Paul, you don't really want anything to change for your team in the fifth set, but it is condensed, and it can. You see some teams that have great records in fifth set. You know, individual teams maybe you've had over the years, and some teams that, for whatever reason, they're fine, but if they get into a fifth set, just tend to struggle.
Sometimes you're a team that needs all 25 points to find success.
Right.
And as you pointed out, some teams are used to starting out hot, some are not. Sets 1, 2, and 3, Coastal was the hot team to get things started. Of course, they would like to do that and gain momentum in this shortened fifth set.
Yeah, it's just a much shorter runway. Peterson able to really take that before it got across the net, and Cropper wins a bang ball. But it starts with Peterson, right? We saw her whistled earlier. She got that before it got to the plane of the net.
And the Coastal squad probably not happy with that one. It could have been called, but in a fifth set, many officials are going to allow more, be a little bit more liberal with their calls or not.
Stuffed. Unal.
Great stop from Unal in perfect position. Malone was helping out, but boy, you want to talk about pumped up. How about Malone going to Unal, saying, hey, best block of the ball game. Couldn't have come at a more important time, tying things up at 2.
When you have an outstanding attacker like Stout or like Rice, if they're in the flow of it, you almost expect them to put it down, right? Brizard right up against the good seats courtside to make the play. And Rice answers back with a block of her own.
The block was what prompted momentum late in set 3. While it didn't result in a win in that set for NC State, the block was what got them the momentum back. There, a fantastic stop, solo stop from Rice.
Miscommunication. What's the mindset when you're thinking, hey, the setter's not going to get there, and all of a sudden you realize the setter is there?
Yeah, that miscommunication is a big deal. The setter needs to speak up and say, I'm coming. There, she wasn't loud enough.
In system, it was Agata all along.
Good ball from her over on the right side to get the job done, and that was her last rotation before coming off the floor. Good deception and location from Stout for the set. Cabello continues to be in position, but can't seem to corral that hard angle swing into the right back.
And I know you have to serve well, Paul, but you just can't afford to give away 3 points in the fifth.
Yep, 2 already yielded on missed serves. There the miss from Bengi, also a miss from Stout to start out this set. Yep,
Now, NC State saying, wasn't this the call before? Cabello, pardon me, is coming over to our R1, Rob Boggs, and saying, hey, she's back row, and Allen is touching the ball. That should not be a back row block.
So the question
she is back row.
Yep, the question is whether or not the ball was on the plane, and the official says it had not gotten to. At least that's the call. Now our review seems to demonstrate that it might have actually been on the plane. Yeah. A good argument by NC State, but as the call is on the floor, it's that the ball did not make it to the plane, and that is not a reviewable call as far as NC State is concerned, so that point will immediately stay on the hands of Coastal.
And that's a missed call.
All NC State can do is shake it off and try to get this one back.
Stout's front row, but Allen and Leoniak maybe taking out a little frustration on that block.
Most certainly. And that set just a little bit tight. Stout didn't have a whole lot of room to maneuver, so going up against an extremely lengthy Leoniak standing at 6'4" over there, that's a tough matchup for Stout to get out.
Again, meeting the Coastal attack. Varani has not been involved recently, but they set her here. And that'll be 4.
Good save and communication during that rally from Sydney Daniels to ensure that nobody else stepped in her way to keep a rally going, but it was really tilting on the favor of Coastal most of that run.
Williams gave it a running start, and everybody for Coastal kind of had sucked up, so when that ball went back, there was nobody kind of playing sweeper back there.
Smart roll shot from Williams. Everybody was coming in, as you mentioned, diving in, so when that roll shot went off the fingertips, nobody available to keep that play going.
Leoniak has left a couple of serves short, and she does so here. Coastal back within 1.
Three more rotations for Lezak now in the front row as Stout is back on serve.
And again, her serve has been so good. She takes a little something off there after a couple of errors, and that allows Allen to launch.
Haven't seen a lot of offense from the Wolfpack middles, so catching them by surprise. Good pass to the middle quick from Jada Allen. Excellent swing by her to prompt the side change.
Jada Allen makes NC State. Well, if today has been any indication, NC State and Coastal Carolina ready for a big conference play, as expected, right? And they haven't been at their sharpest the whole way through. You can't be that, but both have shown some really positive signs here at times and have gotten into a really good tussle here, which is kind of what you want. You want to be tested in non-conference play, and a few points here, Paul, going to decide it.
They are. The block of NC State has kept them in it when their offense has not been firing. We saw the Jada Allen kill, which was fantastic to go to the side switch. As for Coastal, the objective of Coach Loswick coming into this ball game, he talked about improving his service reception and passing. I think he certainly has seen that throughout this ball game today.
Lezak has been really good today.
Laser from her. That lefty swing from the left side is a very difficult swing. She comes across her body to rip it into the gap. Lily Cropper just a little bit late, overwhelming Jada Allen on defense.
It was Lezak who was instrumental in their ACC win over Virginia. She put up a career high 19 kills in that match. She's got 15 here against NC State. So that's a common thread, and maybe something is NC State doesn't handle this and we're tied. Maybe something that Coastal can look to is say, hey, look, you've got Stout, you've got some good options, but when Lezak gets more involved, we have had great success against Power 4 opponents.
They certainly have, and now all tied up at 8 apiece. Momentum was looking like NC State, but now things tilting to the Coastal side.
It is Malone. Boy, you got to give Coach Loswick credit the way he has kind of mixed and matched. We've seen more Von Elslanda today. Malone was out for a couple. It was Fowler. It was Lezak coming back, and really all of the shots getting involved in different ways and at different times.
Oh, most certainly. And there it's Malone. We saw action, as you pointed out. Malone got the start in this matchup. Von Elslanda seeing action in sets 2, 3, and then in 4. But there the swing from Malone. I got to give a ton of credit to Sydney Lewis on that outlet set.
Okay.
That was a highly challenging bump set to try to get that ball off the net to give Malone enough room to swing. The risk is that that ball is going to be too tight. Malone would be stopped against what has been an excellent block by NC State, particularly even in this 5th set. But for Lewis to pop that ball up with enough height and enough room for Malone, Malone gets the kill to take the lead 9-8.
Lezak leading the way, the senior from Warsaw.
And those 15 kills are great, but that attack percentage is so important. She's hitting from the left side for one rotation and the right side for a couple.
Yeah.
And she's finding her way, even though she's out at the pins. It's hard for a pin hitter to hit mid 300s. Lezak's doing so, though, nicely in that spread offense for Coastal.
A back and forth match, a back and forth 5th set. NC State, the first team to use a timeout. That is one thing that's always interesting to me. Yeah, the set is shortened, but the timeouts are not. So a long time to take it over. An ace from Von Elslanda.
Out of a timeout, such a critical serve. So she had been waiting more than a minute and a half to get that serve to go. She gets it into the deep right back for the ace.
Can't do it much better than that. She put it in the same spot, Paul. This time NC State really forced to play it. Williams needed it, and
Elslanda, I think she reached out because she knew that the ball was touched at the net. Otherwise, that ball was sailing out. I think she recognizes she had to put a play on the ball. Good service run, though, by her. It gives Coastal the advantage.
Cabello serves into the net.
Cabello not too happy about that one. I understand. So service reception here has Amanda Rice over on the left side, but she will work her way over to the right in this particular rotation. Watch her run all the way across the back line to be available on the right side to attack.
And a service error comes in from Bailey Earnhardt. Hadn't seen her all match, and that's a tough spot to be in. In crunch time, you're brought in as a serve specialist, and she missed it by that much.
Well, that's what Bob Euchre would say. She did fractionally miss it. She was trying to target Amanda Rice in transition in that service reception, though she sailed it out of bounds.
Went over, but to Cabello. A touch and a tie. And that's, you know, as good as Sky Stokes is behind the service line or just as your libero digging the ball out, she is a good secondary setter or a tertiary setter in this 6-2 system.
She absolutely is able to deliver attackable balls, and so important for liberos to be able to provide that setting scenario, and again to deliver a hittable ball is really the grand objective for that libero on that second touch.
And a little easier, she's behind the attack line, she can set it with that overhead finger action there instead of having to bump it along. And so well, Coastal burning a timeout. Again, both teams still with one remaining. I would be shocked if we didn't see at least one used, probably both, the way this match has gone.
somebody's going to need at least one more. They certainly can't. The running joke amongst coaches is you can't take it with you from match to match. So if there's a time to use it, there's no need to save it. And as we are deadlocked at 11, the other item that I would reflect on is that on paper, maybe NC State has the advantage in the ball game, or you might think, well, hey, they should surface as the winner. But when you make it to a set 5, all bets are off. On this day, 2 very evenly matched teams, thus going to the deciding set.
Up next for NC State, again, ACC play. They'll be on the network extra for all of these. Virginia Tech and Virginia next weekend, and then a big trip out to the West Coast against the 2 newcomers, Stanford and Cal, then back home against rival North Carolina. As for the Chanticleers, and in the Sun Belt, they play back-to-back. So it'll be Marshall at home before their road trip up to Norfolk to take on ODU. All right, out of the timeout, 11-11. A joust, 1 out by Varani.
Such a critical point there as Varani and Cropper. And the rule on a joust is the one who pushes last wins. And sure enough, that last final shove from Varani results in that ball on the floor.
NC State challenging.
Coastal is challenging the touch. Excuse me, NC State is challenging the touch.
Yep, they're challenging the
Net
net touch. Yep, and you could see even Coach Lucas LeBay word for word saying, no, the net touch is what we're challenging. So the challenge is on the net touch on that joust, whether or not Coastal on its way down touched the net before the ball landed on the side of NC State.
Right. All good when they both contact. Now, you see the net is shaking. I don't see Varani up top touch it. And I don't think she touched it below the tape.
It looks like ball, at least from these vantage points, was what jarred the net. But this also bakes in. The call is confirmed, but it also kind of shakes out as a pseudo timeout of sorts as well. Can't take challenges with you either. And if NC State thought it was a net touch, then why not go ahead and get that challenge? Such a critical point in this 5th set.
Valentina Varani. With a huge point there. Benji's southpaw serve, a good one. Daniels to the floor to keep it up. Rice equalizes.
Excellent swing from Rice, finding a little bit of room around the block, and that ball perfectly delivered on the set of Cabello.
Stout has it sent back. Paul, you drill these little 5-point mini sets, if you will. You know, tied at 12-12. Rice and Allen. Again, that's what's been working more for NC State since Coastal took that 2-1 lead.
Most certainly, it's been the block of NC State. The offense has not necessarily been clicking for long stretches. We've seen some good offense from NC State, but not for long enough to say that that's what's carrying the team. It's been the block, and they're Stout a little bit overmatched. That set high enough to ensure a perfect block on the side of NC State to get the 13th point.
So Coastal will exhaust its timeouts here. And yeah, this has been, I think, whichever team comes out with this win, you could say this is a gritty win. This is a gritty win.
Yep, sometimes you got to win with grit, and sometimes the mark of a team is to say that we came out with a victory even though we didn't have our best stuff. I think both squads could say that they did not have their best stuff for the entire 5 sets. We've seen a lot of good stuff from Coastal on their side of the ball, particularly on the ball control to allow for more offense. As for NC State, we've hit on it a couple times here, even in this 5th set. The block has looked particularly good for NC State throughout, particularly late in not only set 4, but also this set 5.
Again, on Tuesday, tune in. Nothing But Net crew will look at every ACC school's upcoming basketball schedule. Season starts November 4th. That's a Monday, but this coming Tuesday, the women's bracket reveal, 7 o'clock, men's bracket reveal, 8 o'clock on the ACC network and right here on the ESPN app. All right, Chanticleer's out of timeouts. NC State 1 remaining if necessary. Malone on the spot, but a miscommunication, and Lewis has to scramble. It's a free ball. It's a touch.
So that might be where the potential challenge would be. We will get a challenge from Coach Loswick, and of course, to make it 14-12, this is the right time to challenge. There's no reason to leave that.
Just like the timeout, so you can't take the challenges with you.
Exactly. This is no time to take a chance on a potential recall of the point, particularly at such a critical juncture of the game.
Coastal is challenging touch at the net.
Get off of a free ball. NC State hoping to score. Would hate to have an attack error on that. They go to Rice, and right there, that right thumb of Lauren Malone. Yep. Not a lot, but on the slow-mo, I think it's going to be the only look, right? Because it's just a micro touch. It's not enough. It's not the finger snapping back.
It is, and there's nothing on this video that would be enough to overturn the call on the floor, which is a touch by the block of Malone.
The call is overturned.
Overturned. Wow.
So the call is no touch. That point will be awarded to Coastal. So reset that score to 13-all.
Are my eyes deceiving me? I mean, I know it wasn't much there at all, Paul, but I thought for sure you could see that thumb move just a little bit. Evidently not, and that's why you challenged. 13-all. Great
challenge by Coach Loswick to go to now what is deuce point. So Coach Slabé arguing with discussing with the R2 and Chanel Davis to make his plea that there was actually a touch out on the floor.
Again, keep an eye on that thumb. Is that the shadow of the ball? I don't think so. Does that thumb not wiggle?
Certainly from my vantage point and from what we see on the screen, it sure looked like a wiggle to me. I've got to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, certainly creates a critical point in the ball game, both for Coastal and NC State.
Yeah, new life to the Sharks. Not that they were out of it at 14-12, but maybe a ball don't lie moment.
Well, certainly in this case, NC State, if you're a fan, you certainly believe that. So now it's up to the arm of Amanda Rice to try to put things away here. So we get a look at Sky Stokes on defense.
They trade service errors.
So the double sub on the NC State side. Kate Peterson will come out on the floor and set for NC State. Also on the floor, Madison Williams. She'll hit from the left side in this rotation with Leoniak over on the right.
Match point, Coastal Carolina. And a timeout, NC State.
You called it earlier on. Both squads would likely going to use their timeouts. Here, NC State uses their final timeout as we get a look at that swing. Going off speed was Williams, but that ball sails just wide of the sideline.
Man, I hate to harp on that replay, but I just go back to it and you can't help but think, again, the call on the court was touch. And as broadcasters have been telling you in every sport since, video review was really instituted maybe, 10 years ago, widespread because the technology's there, right? And we've got a great slow-mo look. It's got to be indisputable video evidence.
Yep, to overturn. So the call was a touch, and this was the evidence that the officiating crew used to overturn to say, no touch?
Now I'm kind of second guessing myself. Like it's very clear, Paul. There's almost nothing there, if any. Again, they ruled it is clear and indisputable. And I think that's the problem I'm having with it is because I don't know if it's indisputable.
The indisputable part is the portion that is in contention here. You could almost call it a deuce point, but what you should really call it is that the call on the floor, or from the view of the official, the initial call,
and you can tell by that micro of a touch, or if there even was one, right? Could totally be understandable if it was not called a touch on the floor, but it was. All right. Coastal Carolina trying to finish out this win. And they do. In 5 sets, Coastal Carolina has a second win over an ACC opponent this season.